Welcome to the Fi Life podcast. I'm John Barban, and as always with me is Brad Pilon. And today we're going to be talking about the difference between what you know and what you do. And this keeps coming up, and this is something we deal with on the blogs all the time. Is people will read a lot about diet and fitness, and read about anything, but reading and knowing something from reading it versus doing something and the knowledge you get and the experience from doing it are two totally different things. And believing something, especially when it comes to changing your body, the shape of your body, or going through something like that, it's different. It's different. Book knowledge and experience kind of knowledge are two different things. I like to call it knowledge versus applied knowledge. It doesn't matter how much you know about something from reading about it or hearing somebody else talk about it. It matters if you've done it and you've been involved with it for real and seen it with your own eyes. It's one of the analogies or the stories I like to bring up is, I did an undergrad and a graduate degree in nutrition, and our nutrition department was linked to our exercise physiology department, and I had a lot of nutrition profs who were overweight. So, having even a PhD level understanding of the way the body works in nutrition doesn't make them know anything about actually how to apply it and actually lose weight.
Yeah, I mean, it is that obvious. Another great example is the armchair quarterbacks, armchair coaches, that sort of thing. It's very easy to explain how to do something, but to really believe it, you have to sort of done it yourself, right? And I know there's exceptions to that rule in general, but I mean, everybody's gone through that situation where you're learning how to do something and you've been instructed on how to do it, but you can't seem to get it. And then especially when you're a child. And then when you finally do get it, whether it's just the first time you catch a football or the first time you stop on skates or something like that, then all of a sudden you've done it. So you know it's possible. And you do it a couple more times and you're like, okay, I 100% believe I can do this. And then it just becomes, you've learned to turn it into sort of second nature. And it's a huge difference between knowing how to do it, as in being able to write down how you're supposed to do something, versus to actually have done it yourself.
Yeah, it's like in calculus when the prof shows the equation on the board and it makes so much sense, and then when you try it, you have no clue what you're doing, and until you can work through the equation on your own, you don't really get it yet. Like it looks like it makes sense, but you got to do it to get it. And that's
you just used the example of calculus to try to simplify something.
Yeah, all right. So I just made it worse. Yeah.
but no, it's a relevant point. Yeah, sometimes things look like it should be super simple, but it's not until you've done it. Oh, what's a perfect example, John, is directions getting somewhere. Right, someone's going to write out directions for you. It seems super simple, but then when you're trying to get there, it's really complicated, and you're second guessing yourself the whole way. But once you've driven it once or twice, then it's simple. You know how to get there. You believe in directions, etc. So, yeah, massive difference.
Yeah, and then, so I guess this gets into people trying to, now that was a good analogy because I think sometimes people draw a very convoluted set of directions to get to the same endpoint when it comes to something like weight loss or changing the shape of your body. As far as you and I are concerned, we think it's a pretty simple straight line, and some people seem to draw much different line. So, like, for instance, the example of weight loss, it's just eating less calories. But other people will have you believe it's so many other things. And, I mean, unless you try it, you'll never really know who's telling you the truth and who isn't. And that's kind of like where this sort of talk came from. Because people will read books about all kinds of stuff, like blood type diets, or, I'm looking at the shelf right now, fat flush and volumetric eating, all these different things, like low carb and like the warrior paleo, like all of these. There's just so many different ways. And you could, by the end of the book, you could think something about weight loss by reading one of these books. But unless you've tried it and experienced maybe what the underlying theme in each book was, which is just eat less, you don't know yet. You don't know actually how to get to the sort of the other end of your map.
No, exactly. And the interesting is trial and error. The easiest test would be weigh yourself, don't eat, weigh yourself, and be like, oh, okay, well, not eating made me lose weight. And then you can work out from there. But, you've got the example. Once you've done that and you have the belief, you're like, wow, I saw it with my old eyes and I did it. Well, then you know that